So imagine you are like 40 feet up in the canopy of this massive oak tree.
Right.
Uh,
Oh man, I can already see where this is going.
right. You've got this heavy climbing harness on, a chainsaw is just roaring in your hands,
Hmm.
sawdust is literally flying into your visor, and right at that exact moment, your phone starts buzzing frantically in your pocket.
Which is just the worst possible timing.
Exactly. It could be a highly lucrative, maybe a $5,000 emergency tree removal job, like a storm just rolled through, a homeowner is panicking, but you literally cannot answer it.
Yeah, you're a bit tied up.
Right. By the time you safely lower your gear, get your boots back on the grass,
Yeah.
and pull out your phone, that customer has already called the next company on Google. The job is just gone.
It really is the ultimate nightmare for any service-based business owner. But I mean, it hits uniquely hard in tree care because you are physically tied up in the canopy
Yeah.
and opportunity is just ringing out down on the ground. That missed call isn't just a missed job, It's a crack in the foundation of your entire business operation.
That scenario perfectly sets the stage for our deep dive today. So today, we are venturing into the surprisingly high stakes, honestly heavily fragmented world of tree care CRM.
Customer relationship management software?
Yes, exactly. Our grounding material for this analysis is a really comprehensive 2026 review article by Sham Hav from the Service Agent blog. And it breaks down the top 7 platforms dominating the market right now.
It's a really thorough breakdown.
It is. So, okay, let's unpack this. The overriding premise of this source material is that picking the wrong software is, well, it's no longer just an administrative headache. It is an active financial liability.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about bleeding cash.
Right, through wasted onboarding fees, lost inbound leads, and field crews spending hours tapping on glitchy tablet screens instead of, I don't know, actually running the wood chipper.
And the stakes have escalated because this market has matured incredibly fast. I mean, we are way beyond the era of keeping a spiral notebook and a pocket full of crumpled fuel receipts on the dashboard of your truck.
Thank goodness for that.
Right, but because the industry evolved so much, the software has fractured into highly specialized categories.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have solo operators who just need to, fire off a quick digital invoice from their phone before they leave the driveway. But then you have massive multi-crew operations.
Doing all the heavy lifting.
Exactly. Running complex GPS dispatching, managing multi-year plant healthcare programs, and coordinating chemical supply chains. If you take a tool designed for that massive enterprise and force a 2-person crew to use it, you will completely paralyze their business.
Which is wild to think about. Because if the wrong choice paralyzes the business, how do you even begin to evaluate these options?
It's totally overwhelming.
Totally. Reading through the source, it becomes clear we have to look at this through the lens of operational maturity. We need to explore how a business grows.
Right, starting with the absolute purists who only touch trees.
Yes, and then looking at what happens when a company diversifies into other trades. Then we'll move into the complexities of recurring route management.
And finally, exploring that wild AI solution that directly addresses the guy stuck up in the oak tree.
I can't wait to get to that one. But let's dive right into the deep end, with the software built from the ground up strictly for arborists. First on the block is Arbostar.
Arbostar really demands attention in the source material, mostly because of its fundamental architecture. It wasn't built by software engineers trying to, guess what a landscaper does.
Right, it was co-designed by certified arborists. And that pedigree shows up in very specific, highly technical features.
It really does.
Like, the source highlights native tree inventory tracking and plant healthcare records. Let's pause there, because if you're not deeply entrenched in the green industry, plant healthcare records just sounds like a notes app.
Right, like a basic text field.
Exactly, but it's not. It's the ability to track the specific soil pH, the pest cycles, and the precise chemical fertilization cycle of a single elm tree across multiple seasons, right?
Precisely. Because in a generic plumbing CRM, if you try to track the health of an elm tree, you're just typing paragraphs into a blank customer notes field. You can't run a report on it.
Which makes it useless for scaling.
Completely. You can't automate a follow-up. Arbostar, on the other hand, natively understands the difference between a crown reduction and a full removal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it features proposal formats that actually meet ISA standards, the International Society of Arboriculture. When your software speaks the exact same technical language as your field crew, you eliminate a massive amount of redundant data entry.
Okay, hold on. I need to push back on this a bit.
Go for it.
Because the source points out a truly aggressive price tag. We are talking $150 per user per month.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap.
If I am running a lean two-person crew, I am down $300 every single month before I've even gassed up the chainsaws or sent my first invoice. Using a tool this complex for a startup feels like buying a commercial-grade diesel wood chipper when all you need to do is prune a bonsai tree.
That's a great way to put it.
Isn't it just an absurd overinvestment?
Your skepticism is entirely justified, honestly.
Yeah.
And the analogy holds up perfectly. For a startup, it is absolute overkill and a dangerous drain on cash flow. Arborists doesn't even offer a free entry-level plan.
Right, you're just all in.
Exactly. The source makes it explicitly clear that this platform is categorized as a major capital expenditure. It is strictly for dedicated, growing operations that are losing more than $300 a month in inefficiencies alone.
Oh, I see. So it pays for itself once you're big enough.
Right. Once you hit 5 or 10 crews, the lack of standardized ISA proposals or, lost chemical tracking costs you thousands. Arbostar is priced like heavy machinery because it's meant to generate massive, organized returns for mature companies.
Okay, so if Arbostar is the heavy machinery, its main competitor in the green industry space, Single Ops, approaches the financial side of the business from a completely different angle.
Yeah, they really do.
Single Ops was built back in 2013, and the detail that really jumped out is their pricing structure. It is highly unusual for SaaS products.
It really is.
The crew users, like the folks actually out in the field wearing the hard hats, are totally free. You only pay for the users sitting in the office or making the sales.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a brilliant piece of behavioral economics embedded right into the software's business model.
Really? How so?
Well, to understand why this matters, you have to look at the seasonal reality of the tree care business. Your labor force is incredibly volatile.
Oh, sure. Summer versus winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the spring, you might have 4 guys. By midsummer, or right after a massive hurricane, you might suddenly need to hire 12 extra hands for storm cleanup.
And with traditional software, the second you add those 12 temporary guys, your monthly software bill just explodes.
Yeah, you are actively penalized for taking on more work.
That's crazy.
Exactly the problem. Single Ops removes that friction. It actively encourages you to scale your field crew as large as the weather demands without constantly worrying about managing software seat licenses.
So you just hire who you need.
Yep. By aligning the costs strictly with the people who manage the revenue, the sales and office staff, the software acts as a growth partner rather than a tax on your seasonal hiring.
That sounds incredible in theory, but the source flags some serious warning signs for Single Ops. First, they hide their pricing behind a mandatory blind sales call.
Always super annoying.
Yeah, which is an immediate friction point for a busy owner.
Right.
More importantly, user reviews point to a highly cluttered interface.
Right.
And there are multiple reports that their customer support has severely degraded in recent years. If I'm running a fast-paced storm response crew, a cluttered screen and an unresponsive support hotline sound like a recipe for a total meltdown.
It really is. This is the classic double-edged sword of older, highly complex software. I mean, Single Ops has over a decade of features layered on top of each other.
Yeah, 2013 was a while ago in software years.
Exactly. That creates deep power, but it also creates tech debt. When a system built back then starts feeling clunky and your field guys can't quickly find the right button to close out a job,
They just stop using it. They go back to paper.
they go straight back to paper. And if the support team isn't there to untangle the mess, the theoretical power of that software vanishes. Declining support on a complex premium product is a massive red flag that buyers need to seriously evaluate.
It really highlights how a tool built purely for the green industry can still fail if the user experience isn't dialed in. But this brings up a larger operational question.
Which is?
What happens when a business isn't just cutting down trees? Many companies use tree care as a wedge to offer other services.
Oh, sure. Landscaping, snow removal.
Exactly. If you are a property maintenance company taking on plumbing, HVAC, or snow plowing in the winter just to survive, a purely green industry tool suddenly becomes a straitjacket. You need software that can adapt.
You really do.
That brings us to the generalist platforms, starting with Jobber.
Jobber is the undisputed behemoth in the general field service space, and they approach the market by prioritizing extreme accessibility over deep specialization.
It is the most budget-friendly entry point on our list, essentially priced like a standard utility bill at $29 a month.
Huh.
But what makes Jobber fascinating is that it is an absolute mobile powerhouse.
Yeah, their app is legendary.
The source notes the app holds a 4.8 out of 5 on iOS and a 4.7 on Android. When your crew is 50 feet in the air wearing thick leather work gloves, they need big, simple, dummy-proof buttons.
They don't have time to navigate menus.
Jobber delivers that flawlessly. But I have to ask, by leaving the dedicated Arborist tools behind, aren't you sacrificing the exact features that make a tree business profitable? There are no tree inventory maps here. The dispatching is manual drag and drop.
You are making a deliberate sacrifice. With Jobber, you are trading specialized depth for universal friction reduction.
Okay, I see.
If you have a guy who splits his week between pruning branches and cleaning gutters, you cannot ask him to navigate ISA standard plant healthcare databases.
He'd probably just quit.
Right. He just needs to know the address, see a photo of the problem, and hit a button to collect a credit card. Jobber is fantastic for ensuring that the basic life cycle of a job, from quote to final payment, happens smoothly.
Just the essentials, then.
But you are absolutely right. As your arboriculture operations grow more complex, manual dispatching and lack of asset tracking will eventually force you to graduate to something heavier.
Which brings us to the other major generalist platform highlighted in the review, Housecall Pro. It starts at $59 a month and heavily targets multi-trade home service empires.
A very different beast.
Yeah, the standout feature the source mentions here is a flat-rate price book integration powered by a system called Profit Rhino. Let's define that, because margin protection sounds like corporate jargon.
It does sound like a bit of a buzzword.
Right. I mean, how does a flat-rate price book actually work for a guy with a chainsaw?
It changes the entire way you bill a customer. Instead of an arborist guessing how many hourly labor units a job will take while standing in a customer's yard, a flat-rate price book gives them a locked-in, pre-calculated menu.
Oh, interesting.
It essentially says, a standard oak branch removal under these specific conditions costs exactly this much, regardless of how long it takes.
So it protects the profit margin, because if you have a slower worker or a chainsaw chain breaks and a 2-hour job suddenly takes 5 hours, the customer is already locked into a profitable rate. You aren't bleeding money on the hourly overrun.
Precisely. It turns complex quoting into a simple retail transaction.
That makes a lot of sense.
And for a business running multiple trades, say a plumbing van, an electrical crew, and a tree removal unit, having one standardized margin-protected price book across all 3 departments is incredibly powerful.
But wait, if I'm fundamentally an arborist who maybe does a little landscaping on the side, why would I endure a platform that has literally 0 tree-specific templates?
That's the million-dollar question.
I mean, using Housecall Pro for delicate arboriculture work feels like using a sledgehammer for precision pruning. Sure, you hit the target and get paid, but you have to manually clean up all the specialized data in QuickBooks later because the software doesn't natively understand your business.
It is a risky compromise, and you only make that compromise if breadth is your ultimate goal.
Like running an empire.
Exactly. If you want to run a diverse empire from a single dashboard, Housecall Pro is the umbrella. But the source provides a stark warning about the cost of that umbrella.
Pricing jump, right?
Yeah. While it looks budget-friendly at $59, the moment your growing business needs GPS tracking or QuickBooks syncing, you are forced into their essentials tier.
And how much is that?
That is a sharp, immediate jump to $149 a month. The budget appeal evaporates very quickly.
That is a brutal price cliff to hit just for basic accounting features.
Very brutal.
Let's shift the operational model entirely. We've talked about reactive, emergency work, and multi-trade generalists. But the holy grail for a lot of these businesses is proactive, recurring revenue.
Oh, yes. The golden deuce.
I'm talking about managing hundreds of seasonal lawn care routes, seamlessly integrated with ongoing year-round tree fertilization plans. This requires a completely different engine. Enter the automation veterans, starting with Arbor.
Arbor has been in the trenches for over 25 years. They are deeply entrenched in the specific logistics of handling tree, lawn, and landscape under a single unified system.
Starting at $119 a month, the source highlights their massive advantage in automated contract renewals and supply chain management. Let's connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah, let's look at the churn.
Right. In a recurring revenue business, customer churn is a silent killer. If a customer forgets to renew their spring fertilization treatment, you don't just lose that one job, you lose a decade of recurring cash flow.
It's catastrophic over time.
Having a system that automatically prompts those renewals and actively manages the complex chemical inventory required for those treatments seems wildly valuable.
It is the backbone of a mature route-based business. When you are managing chemical applications across 500 properties, you cannot rely on a whiteboard to tell you when to order more supplies.
No, you definitely can't.
Arbor Gold automates that friction away. However, legacy power comes with a severe cost to agility.
Yes, the source outlines some truly brutal user feedback regarding ArborGold's onboarding process. Reviewers report being 3 months into the setup and still not being fully functional.
3 months.
Think about what a 3-month delay actually costs a business. You are paying for ArborGold, you are likely still paying for your old software just to keep the lights on, and your office manager is pulling their hair out dealing with a dated interface instead of actively calling new leads.
This is the trap of 25-year-old architecture.
It just shows its age.
The system is incredibly robust, but it was not built with modern, intuitive user experience principles. When onboarding requires a quarter of a year and comes with hidden setup fees, you are no longer just buying software. You are taking on an immense, disruptive corporate migration project.
Which perfectly tees up the other veteran in the recurring route space, Service Autopilot. Starting at $49 a month, this platform is famous for deep, highly custom automation sequences.
Yeah, they lean heavy into automation.
We're talking about automation that doesn't require third-party bridges like Zapier. It can theoretically optimize complex recurring routes, trigger customized billing sequences, and dispatch crews all on its own.
What's fascinating here is the contradiction with Service Autopilot. On paper, it is the ultimate administrative powerhouse.
It sounds like a dream.
It promises to essentially run the back office of a route-based business on autopilot, yet the source reveals a glaring issue. It holds the absolute lowest user rating on this entire list, a 3.7 out of 5 on G2.
I look at that 3.7 rating, and it makes me think this software is like hiring a brilliant Ivy League business strategist who is completely incapable of communicating with the rest of your staff.
That is perfectly said.
Right. The review notes that the interface is notoriously clunky, it constantly fails to display properly on mobile devices, and the support is described by frustrated users as downright laughable. What good is deep automation if you can't actually get it to work?
You've hit the nail on the head. Automation is only valuable if the inputs are reliable.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. If the mobile app crashes when your crew is out on a route, they can't log their completion times. If they can't log their times, the automated billing sequence doesn't trigger. The entire chain falls apart.
That sounds infuriating.
And if setting up a basic marketing email requires a degree in computer science and the support team won't pick up the phone to help you, the theoretical power is entirely useless. That low G2 rating isn't about a lack of features. It reflects the visceral friction of trying to use a clunky tool on a highly stressful Tuesday morning when everything is going wrong.
And that concept of a stressful Tuesday morning brings us to our final and perhaps most vital segment. We spent this entire time talking about how to manage the jobs, how to map out the recurring routes, how to track the chemical inventory, and how to bill the clients.
All the heavy operational stuff.
Right. But there's a massive, gaping blind spot in all 6 of the platforms we just broke down. None of them solve the problem we started this deep dive with.
The guy in the tree.
Exactly. What happens when the customer calls at 5:01 p.m.? What happens when your entire crew is holding chainsaws and the office manager's in the bathroom?
The phone rings out. And in today's on-demand economy, people do not leave voicemails.
They really don't.
If they have a tree leaning precariously over their roof, they hang up and they dial the very next company on the search results. A missed call is unequivocally a lost job.
This is where Service Agent enters the picture. The source highlights this as a highly unique tool because it is not an all-in-one CRM trying to replace Arborists or Jobber. It is an AI front office layer that integrates on top of your existing system using over 70 pre-built connections.
It is a surgical strike designed to eliminate the single greatest point of revenue failure in a service business.
The uncaptured lead.
The mechanics of how this works are wild. Service Agent deploys a 247 AI voice receptionist. We aren't talking about a robotic menu that tells you to press 1 for sales.
No, not a phone tree.
It actually answers the phone with a human-sounding voice, holds a dynamic conversation to qualify a lead, asking how tall the tree is or if it's near power lines, and then it seamlessly books the job directly into your existing calendar.
It's incredible tech.
And the platform itself is free to use. You only pay a transaction fee per call handled or payment processed. But let's look at this critically.
The source notes this platform just launched in April 2025. There are 0 G2 or Capterra reviews. Is it genuinely responsible for a local business to hand their most precious asset, their customer intake, over to a brand new, unproven AI startup?
It is the defining question for early adopters. Handing over the front lines of your customer interaction requires immense trust, but the source material provides a crucial piece of context that mitigates that risk.
Okay, what's that?
Service Agent is not an isolated basement experiment. It is backed by Sauce Labs, the same company that built Just Call, and they operate with over $74 million in funding.
So the underlying plumbing of the software is solid.
Exactly. The telephony infrastructure, the actual server tech that ensures the phone call doesn't drop and the audio is crystal clear, is deeply established enterprise-grade technology.
It's proven tech with a new face.
Right. The AI is simply a new conversational layer built on top of a rock-solid foundation. And when evaluating the risk, you have to weigh the fear of a new AI tool against the absolute mathematical certainty of losing a $5,000 lead when your phone rings out to a generic voicemail.
That's a great point.
For a solo operator, plugging that leak is arguably more financially impactful than any complex GPS route optimization feature on the market.
So what does this all mean? We've journeyed from the strict arborist purists all the way to the AI receptionists. How do we synthesize all of these competing philosophies for the listener?
It requires looking at software not as a static choice, but as an evolving partnership. If you are a dedicated, growing tree care purist, losing money to operational chaos, you need the heavy machinery of Arborist or the scalable seat pricing of single ops.
Right, match the tool to the maturity.
Exactly. If your business model shifts toward multi-trade general home services, or you just need extreme mobile simplicity for a small crew, you adopt the umbrella of Housecall Pro or the utility of Jobber.
Makes perfect sense.
If your entire empire is built on the holy grail of recurring fertilization and maintenance routes, you investigate ArborGold or Service Autopilot. But you must factor in their intense onboarding and interface friction.
You have to be prepared for that pain.
Absolutely. And crucially, regardless of which CRM camp you pitch your tent in, if you are actively bleeding revenue from unanswered field calls or after-hours emergencies, you have to look at layering an AI tool like Service Agent over your operation.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. And it leaves me with a final provocative thought to chew on. The key takeaway from this source isn't really about which software has the prettiest buttons.
No, not at all.
It's the realization that in 2026, your software is no longer just a digital filing cabinet. It is your actual functioning front office.
It is the heartbeat of the business.
And as AI layers like Service Agent become more capable of seamlessly bridging different apps and perfectly handling complex customer intake, it makes you wonder about the future. Will the massive, expensive, clunky, all-in-one Arborist CRM eventually collapse under its own weight?
It's a real possibility.
Could the future of the tree care business simply be a cheap, highly usable app, like Jobber, for the guys in the field, supercharged by an incredibly smart AI receptionist that runs the entire business back in the office? It fundamentally changes where the real value in software lies.
The tension between buying one massive consolidated platform versus stacking modular best-in-class tools, it really is the defining strategy debate for the next decade of field service businesses.
Well, the next time you're 40 feet up in that oak tree listening to the sawdust fly, at least you could focus on making a safe, perfect cut, knowing your software stack is waiting on the ground, specifically tailored to catch that next lucrative lead. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep optimizing, and we will see you next time.